Testosterone. Man, does that word come with a lot of baggage, especially when you're in the gym, right? We're just constantly bombarded with all these hacks and quick fixes. But what does the science actually say? You know what? Let's cut right through all that noise and figure out how to truly optimize your levels the right way.
I mean, come on, you've definitely heard this one before. Your gym buddy, some influencer you follow, maybe even a trainer has told you, you got to do heavy squats, man. Deadlifts, they're going to jack up your testosterone. It's pretty much the first rule of gym lore. But here's the question. Is that little temporary spike you get from a heavy set of squats really the big secret to building more muscle? Well, as it turns out, the science tells a much more interesting story. Now, let's be fair. That advice isn't totally out of left field. Heavy compound exercises do cause a little increase in testosterone. But the key word there, and this is the one that changes everything, is temporary.
Okay, so this all comes down to a really important difference, an acute versus a chronic change. That acute change, that's the short-term spike. Your levels go up for maybe an hour after a workout, and then they come right back down. A chronic change, though, that's what we're actually looking for. That's a sustained long-term elevation of your baseline. That is the only thing that really moves the needle for muscle growth.
And look, this is pretty much the modern scientific consensus. That little post-workout hormonal bump, it's more of a side effect of training hard, not the primary reason why you're making gains. Real muscle growth comes from the fundamentals, things like progressive overload, just getting stronger over time, not from some tiny fleeting hormonal blip.
So if chasing those little training spikes is basically a waste of time for muscle growth, what kind of an increase actually makes a difference? Let's get into the numbers because this is where it gets really interesting. So you've got some studies on natural supplements, let's say ashwagandha, that have shown around a 15% increase in testosterone in healthy guys. Okay? 15%. Got that number? Hold on to it. Now compare that to a huge landmark study from 1996 where men were given a clinical dose of testosterone. Their levels didn't go up by 15%. They shot up by over 500%. We're talking about a completely different planet of hormonal change here. And this table from that very study really shows you the raw power of that kind of change. The group that trained and took testosterone gained the most muscle. Okay, no surprise there. But get this. This is the real shocker. The group that only took testosterone and didn't even train, they still gained more muscle than the guys who only trained naturally. The takeaway is pretty clear. Testosterone is incredibly powerful for building muscle, but those tiny spikes from your workout just aren't even playing in the same league. All right, so we've pretty much established that trying to chase these little temporary spikes with your workout is a dead end. So what can you actually do? What works for supporting healthy, long-term testosterone levels? Well, the answer really lies in the fundamentals. And the two biggest, most powerful levers you have direct control over are your body composition and what you put on your plate every single day. Just how powerful are these factors? Well, check out this case study of a natural bodybuilder getting ready for a competition. He went from an already lean 14.8% body fat down to a ridiculously shredded 4.5%. And the result? His testosterone absolutely plummeted by a staggering 77%. This just goes to show you that extreme diets and getting too lean will completely crush your hormone levels. So the strategy here becomes pretty straightforward. You want to aim to stay in a healthy body fat range. For most guys, that's somewhere around 10 to 15%, and you definitely want to avoid those crazy crash diets. It's also super important to get enough dietary fat because your body literally uses it to make hormones. Going too low on fat can drop your T levels by 10 to 15%. And finally, just make sure you're getting enough key micronutrients like zinc and vitamin D. Okay, but I know what you're thinking. What about all those articles online that say, this food will kill your testosterone, and the number one bad guy you will always hear about is soy? You know what? Let's just put this myth to bed, once and for all. A massive meta-analysis, which is like a study of studies, looked at 47 different trials. Their conclusion was crystal clear. Soy does not lower testosterone in men. Period. Even in studies where guys were chugging over 40 grams of soy protein a day, there was no impact. So yeah, you can relax about that tofu or edamame. Beyond just what you eat, your wider lifestyle habits, everything from how you train to how you sleep, all play a huge role in your hormonal health.
And this kind of brings us back to our earlier point about training. While chasing those little acute spikes is pointless, avoiding overtraining is absolutely essential. Pushing way too much volume week after week puts your body into this state of chronic stress that actively lowers your testosterone. So the goal isn't just more training, it's smarter training.
And speaking of recovery, sleep. It is absolutely 100% non-negotiable. There was a study that took a bunch of healthy young guys and restricted their sleep to just 5 hours a night for a single week. The result? A 10 to 15% drop in their daytime testosterone. That's the same kind of drop you'd get from a super low-fat diet, just from one bad week of sleep. It's that critical.
And finally, it's just a good idea to be aware of endocrine disruptors. These are basically chemicals like BPA that you find in some plastics that can mess with your hormonal system. You can really easily reduce your exposure by doing simple things like using glass or metal containers for your food, never microwaving food in plastic, and just looking for products that are labeled BPA-free. So, as we've seen, this whole thing isn't about finding one secret trick or some magic bullet. It's really about building a solid, big-picture foundation for your health.
It really just boils down to 4 main pillars. Number 1, maintain a healthy body composition. 2, fuel your body right with enough calories and good fats. 3, make recovery a priority with 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep. And 4, train smart and just try to live a clean lifestyle. And honestly, that's the real secret. The things that are best for your overall health, eating well, getting enough sleep, managing your stress, staying active, those are the exact same things that are best for your hormonal health. There really are no shortcuts. So maybe we should just reframe the whole goal here. Instead of constantly chasing hacks to boost one single hormone, what if we just focused on building the healthiest, strongest, most resilient version of ourselves? Because when you do that, your hormones will naturally take care of themselves.